Alright, here we are on turn 9 here. And we've got, well, things opened up with the two charging wings. The first one was John George's Saxon Cav. They didn't really manage to do anything. Now, they're kind of exempted from problems here, okay? First of all, most of it's broken. That which is not broken is already in contact. I don't have to actually engage. I just have to stay there. I'm fine where I am. I think I forgot to move these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's just get them off the board. I'm allowed to be there without any problem. And, you know, I wasn't able to do anything, basically, because even though George is here, he's unable to rally the forces without getting into a different command station, any kind of rally formation change, anything like that. Moving then to the other one, which was this Swedish Cav here. This is the right-wing Cav. It made its charge. It actually had a 2-round charge, or no, only 1 round, had to make it up the hill. Got 2 momentums, where it managed to switch first into make ready and then into receive charge. Now here's the problem. John George tried this, and I think I often forget this. There are modifiers. Cav wing changing to charge. Okay, that's got a bonus, but Cav wing changing to receive charge has a penalty. And that's what I tried to do. He failed anyway, but I noted that and then said with the Swedes, I better keep that in mind, and I did it in 2 steps instead of 1 because it's easier to reform Cav that way. And it ends your charge if you can get into receive charge, which gets you out of a harsh position. Using Banner, I was able to get some additional rally that way anyhow. Actually, I've got a couple more activations for a Banner that I forgot about. I'll get to those in a moment, because the 2 big Swedish reserve forces are coming into play here. And we got these guys getting near the woods. They might turn into, they're preparing to turn into open order and go in and engage John George's stuff in the woods. And then I'll align the infantry and try to hit there. And then these guys are getting closer too. The Imperial wings have not yet moved. I have 2 big Imperial wings ready to go still. All right. And end of 9, not a lot happening. The infantry here got a significant number of chances to... I mean, it's in strong position now. Now, granted, these guys are still behind, and they can do weird stuff, like shift along and move next to another one, and get themselves in a position where if they got a... well, it's going to be tough while they're in charge, because moving away, they're the one piece in each case that's pinning that unit. So I'd have to bring another unit in, I think, to get to force a hedgehog. So I've lost kind of the advantage that I had here for the Catholics coming up the hill. Likewise, this guy over here, Vince, is unable to get out of a receive charge situation. He was okay with it the first couple actions, but the third one, I think he got 2 continuations. He may have only gotten 1. Whatever, the first action he was okay with it, the second one less so. He really would have liked to have launched an attack there somewhere. But because the Swedes are getting closer, I don't know if they have enough time to win the battle dramatically at this point. You know, we're only talking... shit. I think I moved this sucker. We're only talking 3 turns. That's enough time to hit and cause some chaos, but I don't think it's enough to rout the Imperial forces completely. And that's kind of a problem because, well, the Swedes have very high victory conditions on this sucker. They kind of have to have the double envelope go off really well, and I don't know that it has. They got their guns unlimbered finally. That may help. It may mean that they get captured now. Let's see. All right. Well, things open up with the Saxons reforming, but not until their 3rd phase, their 2 momentums. So they're not really going to be able to be a factor at this point in the game, maybe a little later. And then the Swedes come sweeping in, and they also get a full three actions. hedgehogged a couple of infantry, which doesn't really matter too much because there's no Swedish infantry to deal with these. They probably would have rather a failed morale check, because then they could have struck the rear of those Catholic formations and driven them back. And then the Swedish cav just swept in and pretty much demolished everything that the Catholics put back here from the center. That means this little Swedish cav is free to operate, and I can start deploying the infantry. This has not been that big a battle, but now with the two Swedish wings coming into play, it's getting a lot more, a lot heavier, closer to what we saw with the last one or some of the other larger battles from other games. The two calves both attacked. Well, no, this one rallied. The Swedish cav here attacked as well. So we've got kind of this pincher going on here. But it's mixed. This thing didn't really bust through the way these guys did. These guys just brushed aside what was in their way. Here, we're pretty worn out, so the attacks are kind of mixed. The Swedes are largely pushed aside, actually. But they've really busted up the attack that the Catholics were performing there. They're going to have to work pretty hard to get that together. They have a couple center wing cav, though, that they could use to really finish off the Swedish cav there. End of 10 there, and it looks pretty clear to me that I'm not going to finish it tonight. Alright. So what did we have? We had the two central infantry forces going here, and that was kind of a tough decision. The Catholics chose not to try to advance. Instead, they slipped themselves into a make-ready and are starting to fling some infantry positions around to create that kind of circle. They don't want to lose the battle at this point. They probably have lost it slightly. Maybe not. It's hard to tell. There looks like there's a lot of Catholic cav there. But it's not going to be a major loss. And in terms of the victory points for this particular scenario, they're doing okay. This double enfilade coming into place, it's late in the day. They think they can hold out. The Swedes will pull back, and then they can get out of it. That's their take on the matter right now. The Swedes also do not want to lose the battle massively. They feel they've got the advantage here. They're going to attack there. But they did not launch an attack here. Instead, they're using Banner. He's run around and gone back here to start rallying some stuff, although one guy is running away at a speed that's probably going to be tough to get. We've got a couple more running here. A couple of Catholic Imperials ran off the map, too. But it's definitely winding down. It doesn't look to me like there's going to be enough time for the Swedes to bring their enfilades into play, essentially. There's enough Catholic units to hold off what's there. They probably, I don't see any great movement happening here, to tell you the truth. Turn 11 here at Wittstock. Let's see. We open up with the charging formations. Those were the Swedes. This could not get out of charge. They really wanted to reform, and instead they just had a couple of units trotting forward slowly. I even used a banner to try to convert them into... Part of the problem is I went straight for receive charge, which is tough for a cav command. Eventually I went over here to recover this unit. Over here, this was an automatic drop into rally. The only thing that wasn't in trouble was this unit. So, you know, a lot of formation improvement, but no ability to get a continuation there. And then the Central Catholics continuing to form their ring, not going forward with an attack against this cav. They're basically looking at holding their position. May seem like a low odds thing. In terms of victory conditions for the scenario, it's definitely what they want to do. In terms of not risking the loss, it also feels appropriate. So I don't mind trying to win the scenario, as it were, when the situation is beginning to look ugly. You know, before the Imperials were really going for a more massive victory. Now, well, this is going to be somewhat inconclusive in terms of an actual battle in the historical context. Alright, now we're switching over to this Swedish right wing. Alright, big hit by the Swedish wing here. First moved into position, then struck in against John George's Saxon cav, and also hitting various units from the center. Now, here we had an infantry charge against cav. That destroyed the cav. It hit the rear of the cav. They were formation shaken, couldn't get out of the way. Here we had one big introductory fire by this guy, and you can see that didn't go too well for him. The Catholics returned fire with salvo fire, and then launched a melee and destroyed the Swedish unit. This unit's in open order. I probably don't want it to stay that way. Mainly, this wing is just sort of disintegrated. Two of the Swedish cav were destroyed coming in here. One's formation broke, and we still got a couple of heavy units, but they're a little shaken up. This is a smaller heavy unit. You know, I took a high-risk attack there just to see if I could shake things up, because in terms of victory conditions for the scenario, the Swedes are doing very, very poorly. In terms of the whole of the game, you know, the whole of the battle, it's a close battle, but I feel like this is where victory conditions come into play. This is why the Swedes have a higher requirement. They split their army. They're looking for that final victory, and they have to take some risks because of it. Alright, I don't know who's next. It's going to be a make ready or receive charge, I guess. I got two of them. I've got this cav and I've got John George. And quite quickly we finish things up. The two Catholic cav wings recovering, one round each. The Swedish center, again, not willing to take. The risk is an ugly one, and to tell you the truth, I think the Swedes are pretty much done with their attack too. We might see some opportunity attacks there, but this was the big risk. And there might be a continuation up here. There's still some targets of opportunity if I can get them rallied. But honestly, for the most part, it strikes me that the battle is done. But we'll play out that last turn before night falls. As I was doing quick cleanup for the turn, I noticed I hadn't fired these two cannons, so I unloaded them both down this channel. One cav scared away this unit, pretty chewed up, this one too. The artilleries might open up an option for a cav strike or something against weakened infantry units. We'll see. The Swedes are very weak on that side. And actually, that kind of situation, that brings to mind, you know, one of the reasons a lot of people sometimes ask me to play a vassal game or something. But, you know, I'm used to finding things like that at the end of the turn and cleaning them up. There's sort of this, first of all, I don't know if vassal will even allow you to do that, to cheat because you screwed up and didn't notice something early in the turn. This is not something where these guns had any reason that they'd stop firing. Now you could say, every now and then there's some weird event of chance that prevents, you know, people from doing what's reasonable. That happens to me with the double checking, I think. I make enough errors, especially solitaire, but no matter what, I make enough errors that if I didn't redo the ones that I noticed or fix the ones that I noticed, I would have a real serious, you know, ahistorical situation always developing in every game. There would be no point to me playing a war game, right? I might as well play chess and lose all the time because of my errors, as opposed to I want something that makes some sense. There's also, of course, I just enjoy the view of the game, the imagery, the story, the narrative, if people like that word better, when I'm playing alone. And I don't get as much of that when I'm playing with someone else. And certainly not if I'm playing on a computer screen, for that matter. Alright, beginning the final turn here. the Swedes launched an attack from here, including a rare, at least for me, infantry charge where they get the momentum, slamming into the side of a Imperial unit. They destroyed it, sent it over to the dead pile. Got a continuation to reform, actually dropped into receive charge and succeeded, but then didn't get the follow-up continuation. So now, well, we go to this other charging Swedish wing, which probably can't maintain that charge. We'll see. Well, this was kind of an ugly situation to them, so I did find a way to launch an attack on one of the infantry brigades down here, and I took that thing out. Frontal assault, actually, with the Cav. That's, again, a rarity, but, you know, I'm just trying to knock things out here one at a time. No pursuit even, but no momentum. And now we're running down to the bottom of the barrel. I've used the two formations that had anything left in them, sort of. I've got this infantry here. I could use that, but that looks like it's more unpleasant than possible positive. Hitting with 2 cav, I actually had a pretty big bonus using a charge against that infantry. The only real question was, could I withstand the firepower that the infantry put out? Cav is very, very powerful in this game at breaking up even the heavy infantry with its bonus. A good roll doesn't hurt either. Now, let's see where we are. It looks like we're going to be over here in the Catholic Center. And the Catholic Center kind of went apeshit in all directions, just spreading out. First round, I don't think they were in charge. They did some reforming, but the second and third activations, they were in charge and just pounded into things. Some of it kind of mixed. You can see some units routing, breaking away from the front. But in other places, they managed to smack up some of the Swedes pretty hard. I think overall it probably came out a net loss in points for the Catholics, but it felt good to try to bust out that way. I don't know. Hard to tell. Hard to tell how it is going to turn out point-wise, though. And, you know, I mean, we're really kind of at the end of the game without much effect. I've got the Swedes. You can see they fired off some salvos to help defend themselves. They did some defensive melees with those, hitting the oncoming Catholics there. I don't know. Anyway, not much to say about it, actually. Leslie's infantry, the center, leads a moderately successful countercharge. Destroyed one of the Catholic units up here, but mainly just chased them away. Captured a gun over here, though, so that was kind of a nice move from their point of view. Now we've got a couple of Catholic Cav forces and the rallying Swedish Cav. And there we've reached the end. John George started rallying his forces, as did this. This actually got a couple of continuations, but couldn't get out of receive charge. And likewise here, we got into receive charge from a rally, but not any further. A couple units routing, spread around. I don't think anything can reach. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not quite. Just a couple of guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. Heading off the edge of the map there. This calf? Oh, maybe. But that's about it. And that's the end of the battle. Time to score it, and I'll be back. Well, alright, I can't quite come back yet. I can't quite score it yet, because when I score, it's a very destructive process. It takes everything off the map. You have to look at all the counters, basically, because anything that has a number marker below it is worth some points. So I want to talk a little bit about what happened, or at least what's interesting about this. So Nordlingen, before this, I was kind of warned, hey, this isn't going to be a terribly interesting battle. The Swedes are going to have a lot of trouble trying to win it. They pulled off an upset. That was a very exciting battle. Swung both ways. Looked like, you know, the Swedes were doomed early on. Then it looked like they were doing well. Then it looked like it might be turning against them. And then they pulled off a win. This one, a very, very exciting situation, right? A double enveloping, blah, blah, blah. ended up a pretty lame scenario when I played it out. Now that's got nothing to say about the scenarios themselves. I would guess that this one more times than not ends up exciting because of the situation set up. And that Nordlingen, well, damned if I know. You know, I mean, that was just such chaos. But it's a testament to the system in a lot of ways. There's no way of telling before the game starts, before you get into the game, whether or not the fates are going to fall in a particular way, that the commands are going to activate in a way that makes the battle interesting or less interesting. This one ended up, well, the Catholics couldn't press the attack they thought they could have, and then, well, the delay for the Swedes all made for a very, very kind of calmer battle than you might expect under these circumstances. Anyway, now I will actually score it and come back. And netting out the points, it looks about equal. The Catholics got 211. The Swedes got 255. Now you're thinking, well, that's a lot of points for the Swedes, but because the Swedes historically won the battle, that's not nearly enough. It actually comes out as an imperial decisive victory in terms of the actual victory charts. Now, the Swedes are outnumbered. Of course, they have better troops and are better led. But I don't think Sweden would take this as that terrible a situation. It would be seen probably as pretty much a drawn battle in that 40-point range. The Catholics were forced to withdraw from the field, I think. They weren't routed, but they were in a position that was untenable to hold for the long term, and would have had to pull to the north, which you could kind of factor in a little bit, I guess. Overall, though, you know, given how long it took the Swedes to come on the board, given how active the Catholics were moving forward, it seems like a good outcome. The thing that seems kind of negative is, well, even though all that happened, the Catholics did kind of freeze here. And, you know, I think I would definitely call this an inconclusive battle. All right, up this one goes.